bike. Got great component specs, got a fantastic motor. When you're doing technical uphill trails, this bike has got a little bit of overrun, which means you can conquer some of the tricky stuff while you get a bit of a breather while you're doing so. But more than all that, I think it's the fact, it's the integration of this bike. It's the remote, it's the display, and also it's the app. It really is a complete package, like none other on the market, I think. Now guys, definitely the hot ticket for 2023 is going to be the ABS system from Bosch. But what bikes are going to feature that, you might well ask? Well, I can tell you, they're going to be Cube, KTM and Focus for definite. But don't be surprised to see ABS on some other bikes. But when you talk about Bosch, remember there's many other features as well. Such
I don't know why I'm up here texting, Danny.
watt-hour battery.
Yeah, man. Of course, I moved the camera, unplugged the cable,
mode. It's got Torque Plus, which gives you
and the damn
great
thing
range.
died
And of
on me.
course, in 2023, you've got new displays and controls. Some other Bosch bikes are of note for the year ahead. Take a look at the white E160 for sure, and also the Radon range, offering great value. Now here at the Husqvarna booth at Verbia, I was hoping that maybe the new mountain cross bikes will be on display or for test. They're not.
Let's see, I'm going to plug up to my little power pack this time,
the year of the Husqvarna bike,
so that don't happen
the
again.
Shimano Auto Shift and free shift technology on bikes in 2023.
Oh well, can't do that. This thing
sure.
did.
But more than that, bikes with Link Glide. Now Link Glide is the more durable drivetrain. So, we've talked about prices, we've talked about looks. Let's not forget that reliability and longevity is certainly people's hot list when it comes to the mountain bike. We have ridden many of the incredible Shimano bikes, which will continue to deliver in 2023.
Going across the floor, I know I'm a trip on it.
Most notably in this mix is the Santa Cruz Heckler, 150mm travel, and available either as a 29 front and rear option or the MX mixed wheel size. Lively, attractive, and very balanced, just as Danny Mack proved to us up in Scotland. Then of course there is the Whitey Decoy, again another bike available in a huge range of component specifications and of course slightly lower prices. There's a couple of others on that list, folks, and one of them is definitely the Merida. Now Merida, the E160 is a bike I spent a lot of time on. Great value for money, so you get good components for a good price for these bikes. But what's quite surprising, even though I say that 150, 160, 160, 170 is definitely the sweet spot, if you don't live in tough terrain, then why not try a 140? And the Merida E140 is definitely on the list of bikes I choose. Now, we've talked about price being really important for your choice of e-bike in 2023. So too is looks. When it comes to looks, that's pretty black and white. That's down to you, the purchaser. But I think there's a few on the market which I want to turn your attention to. First one is the Scott Patron. It's another one of these 160mm travel bikes, the 29-inch wheels, front and rear Bosch motor. And I think the key thing about this bike is that how everything is integrated and tucked out the way. But when I say it's black and white, that's a full carbon bike, around about 10 grand. There's other ones. Let me introduce you over here to the common saddle bike. This is Trent, to this first.
Man, they had one of them bikes was $60-something thousand.
29-inch wheels front and rear, and 160.
What's the name got one?
So we saw the Scott bike there, 10,000 euros.
Jay Leno.
This bike, it's got an aluminium.
And I think that's the same one that Simon crashed.
It's a lot of money, but a lot of bikes, that's for sure. It's easy to forget, whilst we're here talking about some very beautiful bikes, not actually inexpensive bikes, the ones we've been covering so far.
That's a hell of
Let's
a
not
bike,
forget that e-bikes come in all shapes and sizes, and also we've had some great times in 2022 on some more budget bikes such as the Caliber bike, the Decathlon bikes, and also some of the DIY kits which we've been experimenting with Ray. These all come in, at less than €1,000. And if you're going to be riding on forest tracks or smooth single track, these are certainly bikes that you need to dig in. It's going to be
crates over here and find
some mountain bike. And I can assure you, if you've never ridden an e-bike before, those are fantastic starter bikes.
Real quick.
If we're going to this type of terrain here, which is in Verbia, you definitely do need to tap into some of the full suspension bikes for sure. Now, one of the highlights for me in 2022 for sure was a chance to get a ride on the Flyer Uprock X. The reason for that is that the heart of this bike is the Panasonic GX Ultimate motor. Now, when you put this bike in perspective, the motor in perspective, that motor kicks out at 98 meters of torque. definitely is up there with the Bosch motor. It's quiet, there's a lovely power delivery on it. But more than that, the bike itself, I think is one of the most good looking bikes on the market, arguably. Matt behind the camera thinks so as well. It's a great mid-travel bike, so great component spec, great price, and like I said, a bloody good motor. However, the mid part of 2022 and going into 2023 has very much been dominated by the light to mid assist bikes. It's funny to think actually that there's as much of those type of bikes in the market nowadays as there is full power bikes. But of course, it's the recently introduced Trek Fuel EXE is one of those mid assist bikes.
I hope you sent me that address, man.
We saw in the summer then the launch of the Padua Ride 60 motor, and we rode two bikes in particular which really did blow our mind.
Yeah,
one of those
trying to make
was
small
the
talk
transition
while
relay,
looking for
150 mil travel, or the transition relay PNW Pacific Northwest at 160 mil travel. Now the great thing about the Ride 60 system is it's got increased torque, and also it's got that very cool feature which is like a
I knew I
boost
should have bought
over,
that.
which happens for 12 seconds when you're tackling super technical
in my
terrain.
hand,
Very quiet
assortment.
motor, peak power over 400 watts.
Why didn't
and
I
bikes
buy
which really do look very streamlined. So transition relay very much on the list, and also
That
the
was
Pivot Shuttle
stupid.
SL. Now the
Bought every
SL
damn
comes in
thing else.
132 mil travel rear, 150 mil up front, but the geometry of that bike really
Definitely
did blow us
didn't
away.
need.
We rode some full-on sort of downhill trails in Austria near the Hahnenkamm. I mean, what a
Look
bike.
at that.
So
And there
two
go the
bikes there
screws.
which
I
really
did
captured our
find them.
attention going into 2023. But there's others such as
Ain't that
Trek
something?
Fuel EXE. Now,
At least
that
I found
features
those.
the all-new
Uh-oh.
TQ
Block McCain.
50 motor, 50
Let me see.
torque,
Let me move you.
and
I'm gonna move
possibly
you.
one of the quietest e-bikes that there is on the market. Super compact again, 130 watt-hour batteries, fitting that down to very stealth. And again, it's the stealth thing which really stands out on some of these new bikes. The fact that we've got the controller and the display integrated into the top tube there. The remote on the handlebar, very stealth, but very usable at the same time. And lightweight bikes, you know, bikes such as the Padua bikes, the Trek bikes, all under 20 kilos. Now, I think when we talk about these light and mid-assist bikes, they are very much trail bikes. And obviously there are others on the market. And such bikes as the Orbea Rise, which came out last year with an EP8 RS motor. A little bit more torque on those bikes, but nevertheless, they're very much a trail bike at heart, super lightweight. Of course, one bike which we've not mentioned yet is the Specialized Levo SL, which was launched a few years ago. Of course, the Lapierre Ease SE did come before it with the Ovation system, which was quite a lot less power. But the Levo SL is very much a trail bike at heart. But I'm actually going to contradict myself here for a second, because in as much as these light power bikes are on the whole trail bikes, there is one bike, and that is Canevo SL, 180 mil travel front and rear, which is an absolute rocket ship in downhill situations. So very much a shuttle style bike in that respect. But one thing I do want to point out when it comes to light and mid assist bikes is the intended use, but also the fact that I think that some of those bikes that I've just mentioned will see continued development in the next 12 months. So don't be surprised to see some changes on some of those bikes. But when it comes to the intended use, now a light and mid assist bike is fantastic at fire tracks. It's great at single track climbs such as this one I've just come up now. But when it comes to the super tough, technical, rocky, uphill, rooty terrain, then the higher assist bikes such as the Levo and the Rail and the Canyon Spectral, that is almost a different sport. But as a bike for trail riding, bikes such as this bike here, the Trek Fuel EXE, I can ride that all day long. And I've been so glad that I've been reintroduced to some old trail centres, because that really is...
This stud down here is jacked up because a man accidentally, he had the hot wire on this stud initially and accidentally bumped the ground into it, and you know, had a huge spark almost
EXT shocks from Italy.
welded the nut on there.
So yes,
but it got the stud all jacked up. I can't get the nut started.
Special motor. It's got great power. It's quiet. It's got good power delivery as well. So yes,
it's always something to give you a pain in the ass.
More than that, get to ride them too. Now, two bikes that should be on your radar for 2023 are the Norco Sight 150, 160, and the Norco Range 170, 180. Now, there's a few reasons for this, and the first one is the fact it's good geometry, and secondly, the fact that this bike comes in 3 different battery capacities. I think you've got a 500, a 630, and a 900 watt-hour option. So huge range from the Range and the Sight. But more than that is the fact that Norco actually give you a very in-depth setup guide for you to set up your suspension.
That's the one I should have had the right nut on.
Really good backup from the guys from Norco. Okay, when it comes to racing, here is the bike, the Lapierre Overvolt GLP2. Now this is the bike developed by Nico Voulios, who's won the EWS series, that's the Enduro World Series, E-Class several times. 160, 170, it's got the Bosch motor on there. But what is special about this bike is the placing of the battery. It is central there. So when you ride this bike, you can actually move the front wheel and the back wheel really easy. So it's possibly one of the most maneuverable 160 bikes on the market for sure. And definitely one you guys should get out and have a test.
Yep, this one is going to be a pain in the butt tap.
Prospects for 2023. I think 22 so far has been pretty much the story of the new mid-assist bikes from the likes of Trek with a TQ motor and the Transition Relay and the Pivot Shuttle SL featuring the Fazua Ride 60 system. But
that little stud is all jacked up.
Now got
the threads
a choice
is
to make, many of us. Do we go for the mid-assist bikes that weigh around about 17, 18 kilos, or do you go for the full power e-mountain bike, which, you know, 85, 80, 90 newton meters, weighing in not actually that much more. You know, you can get some bikes such as the Trek Rail, which I mentioned earlier, you know, 21 kilos. So there's not, I think
come on, be nice.
Actually closer to the full power bikes than they are to the mountain bikes, which some people believe. So I think if you're in the technical uphill trails, go for the full power bike every day of the week. If the type of terrain you ride is more kind of like fire road uplift and then downhill sections, then, or trail sections as well, the mid-assist bike is definitely one option for doing that kind of riding. But I'm going to leave you with
something giving me the blues that shouldn't even be giving me the blues.
2023. Please let us know what you think are on the hit list. Any questions, please.
You know what, I'm going to have to get that started with no wires on it. Maybe that's the only thing I can do.
And we'll see you next time, folks.
Get them threads fixed.
Wow, choosing the right EMTB. What a monumentally difficult task that is. Certainly by wandering around Garda and all the options available, just illustrates just how difficult it is. So in this video, I'm going to be using the Bosch motor and examples of bikes with the Bosch motor to talk about the kind of details that you need to think about when you're coming to buy.
I can put it on the other post for now and put the ground on that one. That's what I can do. I don't need to be struggling. I don't need to struggle like that, y'all.
CX motor in many parts of the world, and in the new smart system are able to offer bikes with great range due to the 750 watt-hour battery. Many options.
We can struggle later.
And of course, an excellent backup service. Back at the festival, my first thoughts are on wheel size, and range. Okay, this little corner of cube actually encapsulates so many things that you need to think about when looking at your Bosch motored bike. What we've got here is an example of trail, which is 120, 130. Behind me, all mountain, 140, 150, and here enduro at 160.
We can struggle later.
So much to talk about. Shall we start off with maybe the forks, possibly, because we've got a 35mm fork, 36mm fork, and a 38mm fork. So what's up front there? You know, the capability of this bike varies massively between all these bikes. But the interesting thing actually is when we went to Northwest Scotland, I actually rode the Cube Action Team 160, 170 because this bike has got 27.5 wheels, whereas The 140, the hybrid 140, has got it's got 29-inch wheels. And I actually preferred riding that bike in northwest Scotland because the type of terrain there was lots of loose rocks, and the rollover on the bigger wheel was actually better in that type of environment. So my suggestion is, if you're doing kind of all-round sort of trail or mountain riding, that is actually a great choice. So that's an example that just because a bike has got less travel doesn't mean to say that it's less capable. But what I will say is, when you move to 160, 170 bikes, when you get into really
and we'll struggle with the hot and ground later on.
To hammer that a little bit harder than say the 140 bike with the 29-inch wheels. Not that wheels matter. It's all about just, you know, the limits to what a bike and yourself is capable of. Now, there are a few brands of Carder that were not present, or we simply didn't get a chance to go and see them. The new Uno bike from Barcelona at 170, 160 mil travel is certainly one that we'd love to ride at some point, and also it's one of the longer travel bikes, but not one of the cheapest. But of course, there are other options. Now, 170 mil travel is in the kind of enduro, super enduro bracket, and that kind of travel means it's for some serious trouble out in the hills. Big rocks, roots,
now
tracks,
our little hall sensor connector that we had to modify.
What you need to bear in mind, if you're choosing, you know, 170 bikes for you, such things as the fork, because this is the all-new Rad-On Deft, and this particular model here, which I think is the middle version, comes with a Fox 36 fork, whereas the top-end bike comes with a 38. Does it matter? It kind of does, and it kind of doesn't. I think it depends on just how much trouble you intend to win on the bike. And the other thing to bear in mind as well is the fact of the display. Now, Bosch comes
now we got to put an XT90 on
this particular version just
some
comes
power
with
wire
and no display, whereas the top-end bike comes with the display on the stem there. So a couple of things to bear in mind there if you're just choosing a 170 bike. One other thing to bear in mind when we're talking about materials actually is it's not just simply a case of the frame being carbon or aluminium. Most of the time you will get bikes which have got a carbon front end and actually an aluminium swinging arm. The swinging arm is made up of the seat stay and also the chain stay. So as you can imagine, this kind of area might be prone to rock strike. So I don't know, it's a difficult one, but like I said, you will see many bikes with that combination on them. One other thing to bear in mind particularly on a kind of 170 or a 200 mil bike, is actually whether there's a coil or an air shock on there. Does it matter? Well, it kind of does and it doesn't, but what you need to bear in mind is if you're going to be riding the bike without a backpack or anything in it, then you probably will need to have a different suspension setup for every time you ride. So it's actually easier to change the suspension settings on an air shock than it is on a coil shock, because you will need different springs to do that. It's questionable, of course, whether you do in fact need so much travel, and many people seem to think that the Trek Rail at 160 mil travel is just right. It was also an opportunity for me to
trim off some of that plastic.
Wow, so mental.
Just a little bit.
It's that time of day where the beers are getting rolled out and it's getting a bit kind of noisy, but yeah, time to talk maybe about 150 mil travel bikes. Now this is the Trek Rail. It's actually 150 and a 164, but I think this amount of travel, this is sort of all mountain territory. That's the kind of
put a wide tire on it just for a little extra.
It's great. It's a great all-round amount of travel. It's good for descending. Still super capable on the climbing, but related to that is actually the geometry numbers. Final 750 bike if you've got the wrong geometry. Now, if you were to ask me what my favorite geo figures are, regardless, you know, of the bike, I would say this is actually a good example. We're looking at, I think, 450 chainstay, 345 bottom bracket, a reach on, say, a size large of around about 485, 76 C-tube angle, because C-tube angle is important for the climbing. You need to have it quite relatively steep so it pushes more pressure onto the front tyre, and possibly a 64-65 head tube angle.
Hey, you remember how nice and neat it was up in here at first, right? I'm gonna show you how stuff get helter-skelter when I start working and start slinging shit everywhere.
Of around 150, 160 mil is a great option. Such bikes will allow you to ride a range of trails,
especially when I'm live on stage and
give you comfort,
I'm trying to hurry up.
And confidence. Here then are some of our top tips. The Scott Patron, a beautifully
this live stuff makes me a little nervous too.
This is certainly a bike to check out. The Orbea Wild FS from Portugal, offering
just a little bit
componentry. And then the Nikolai, one of the few bikes to offer belt drive, but more than this, you're super tall or want something custom.
Alright, so y'all can see. I know y'all couldn't see from way back there. Y'all see what's going on up in there. It's tight.
Both on 29-inch wheels. And when it comes to
what I'm gonna do is, I think I can put the other connector ends on there, even though they ain't going to nothing, just so.
Of course, having a monster range of Bosch equipped bikes, as we saw at Eurobike last year.
They ain't
the
sitting
battery,
open.
Does it matter? Yes, it does, the battery capacity, but also the way it's mounted, because if you're taking your bike on holiday and say you're staying in a hotel, it is much easier to put, say, the bike in the basement and take the battery out, don't take it to your room to charge.
That ain't gonna do nothing but make it more messy up in here, though.
Won't let you do that.
It's already messy.
The way it dismounts is actually quite important. On this Canada material here, you simply have to undo the clip there and it pops out the front. But there's lots of other options of dismounting, as we'll see today.
There already ain't no damn room as is.
Okay, one of the big topics of e-mounted bikes is, of course, the battery. And does it matter? Well, yes, it does.
Give you that.
Particularly if you're a heavier rider, or indeed if you
right.
want to do some big rides. So this is the simple one. This is the steamer.
So even though we ain't got no room,
the 600
ain't nothing going to these right now. I will eventually have to hook up the ignition and the low brake,
if you're a lighter rider,
and
say,
possibly
50 or 60 kilos, then you probably won't need to
possibly something else. But
on your bike. But yeah,
for right now,
the tank, the better, right?
we can put those ends on there just so
Now here's one. I want to actually put Stefan Schlee on the spot.
nothing
Stefan,
can get up in them, even though ain't
question for
nothing
you.
getting
How
up
do
in
you
it
choose the
anyway.
best mountain bike with a Bosch motor?
That's kind of like simple,
a
because I'm
terrible
a trial
snap,
rider. I
and it
want to
won't
have
even
an
snap good.
agility feeling when I'm on my bicycle. That
There we
means
go.
it must
Nope.
have the right size, the right weight, and of course a Bosch motor, the Performance Line CX smart system, yeah, like I have in my Mondraker bike, which you can see right there. It was suffering.
see something.
It was suffering a lot
Maybe
already
we can
today
make
in the
this.
EMTB challenge. Actually, I just saw on the results I'm 15th. But the reason why I could be that far in the front is just my lightweight Mondraker bicycle.
And also not just the agility of your Mondrake, but the agility of yourself, right? Were you feeling agile today?
I was feeling super agile today. I don't know why. No, it's because I went to bed actually at 10 o'clock without
Try
any
this
meal.
oven.
So I was feeling like a fresh frog in the morning, jumping around.
So I think Stefan's message is not just about the bike, it's about how you can handle the bike as well. Thanks, Stefan.
You're welcome.
On the subject of Mondraker, well, the Crafty is a great example of another 150mm travel MTB with the added benefit of electronic suspension technology. They even do a 170mm version in the level RR. And of course, if you want to see one in action, check out our cliff climb with Bosch ambassador Stefan Schlee. Now obviously, one of the key things about buying an e-mounted bike is how it looks. Now, I can't actually comment, everyone has different ideas in this, but what I can tell you is that several times over the past year, the guys behind the lens have actually said that this is one of the finest looking e-MTBs on the market. So while we're here with the Flyer Uprock 6, I'll tell you it's a Bosch smart system bike, 170mm travel, 750-watt battery. Now, one other thing to think about when buying your e-MTB is actually the componentry fitted to it. Obviously, the different component specs is reflected in the price of the bike. So this bike has got the electronic SRAM system, or the SRAM access shifting on it. We've got some e-mountain bike specific parts in terms of like the seat, and yeah, rotors is a really important part of an e-mountain bike as well. This bike has got 220 Magura rotors on there. So if you've got a 170 mil travel bike like that, anchoring up is key. Okay, so frame material, does it matter? What we got there, folks? Well, we've got carbon or aluminium, and of course some bikes come with a mix of both. Does it matter? Yes, but what you need to understand is, do the engineers and designers know what they're doing? I mean, the integrity of the construction is probably more important than actually the material itself. Now, for example, Trek, they've been in the carbon business for, crikey, I don't know, 25 years or more, so they actually know how to work the material, and they've also got their own kind of patents out in the manufacturing process. So I think when it comes to materials, it's all about the flex and stiffness balance, which you might have heard me talk about many times. How do you know if it's got good flex and stiffness? Well, the bike needs to be comfortable. If the bike is too stiff, then it'll actually become there'll be a lot of fatigue in the ride when you ride it. So if you're looking at a full carbon, too stiff carbon frame with carbon wheels, then some of those can sometimes be a little bit harsh. However, you can still have
like I said, I don't even know why I'm doing all that, because I'm definitely going to have to go back up in there.
Too. So it's a complicated story when it comes down to materials, for sure. So there you go, a selection of Bosch bikes, including ones with the smart system, which comprises the e-bike flow app, control display, and 750 watt-hour battery. And in terms of the drive unit, the Bosch CX motor has 4 modes. The motor outputs can be adjusted, is quite compact, has great features such as EMTB mode, a kind of automatic mode for e-bikes, and of course extended boost, which allows you to tackle super technical climbs. But remember, there are still older system bikes equally as capable. Okay, so we talked earlier about the all-new smart system with Bosch, and obviously part of that is the 750 watt-hour battery, but there's still bikes out there with older system with smaller capacity batteries. So wait for this guy to walk past. This has got a 625 watt-hour battery, and I think one of the big differences is actually the availability of the types of display for those bikes. Also, there's the e-bike flow app. We'll talk about that later. So what we've got here, we've got the Cortec, and now this is an example of a 180mm travel Bosch equipped bike, and 27.5 wheels coil shock. Now this is the kind of travel bike which Chris uses a lot, like I mentioned previously.
Man, there's so many Chris's in the e-bike world, man. Everybody's name is Chris. I don't know if y'all, maybe y'all don't notice that, but unfortunately I have to notice it.
Well, guys, I'm exhausted.
Everybody's name is Chris.
But lots of detail to think about there. And please let us know your thoughts, any comments you've got, any questions. Please get involved in the comments down below. But one thing is for sure, and that is, if you want to try different bikes than a festival such as Garda or maybe Brixton or Rock Desert, it's a fantastic place to get that right in your head, whether it be wheel size, travel, geometry, battery, you name it. This is the kind of place to work all those questions out. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Please subscribe to EMBN for lots of other e-mountain bike content, whether it be maintenance or travel or racing, all there on the channel. So this thumbs up for this video, and we'll see you next time.
I wonder if the flight is in. Ah, right. Ah, you are in. I want to pick your brains from you. I've got a bike for you.
It seems Ray has grand designs on building the ultimate DIY e-bike kit, transforming a bike that was gathering dust in someone's shed into an EMTB that can live with the 4- and 5-figure state-of-the-art e-bikes at the moment. He will be using the mid-drive motor, readily available.
I'm just going to put a little bit of tape around this. Connector. Try to keep a little water out of it. You know, it's supposed to be a waterproof connector, but
suitability,
We're gonna give it a little bit extra.
Hi Steve, I bought you a bike, a Squash Mega green bike. Just look at this bit of kit. It cost me £300 second hand, and I want you to try it out with your skills and tell me if it's the bike that I should be upgrading with a nice Tongshen.
Stuff that up in there.
Wow, there she is, about to go out on this maiden voyage to see whether it's suitable for job in hand
And
at the request of Ray.
that's his charge.
I'm now out and about riding the kind of trails which you reasonably expect to ride on a bike like this. We've got 8 gears in the back, we've got 3 up front, we've got hydraulic disc brakes, 29-inch wheels. First impressions, that's pretty cool. I mean, those 29-inch wheels roll over the bumps. Yeah, absolutely no problem whatsoever. The thing is, with this race project, we've got to
Alright, that's your charge plug right there. And this is the charge side of the BMS.
Just get out into the woods, into the hills. And I have to say, I'm actually enjoying it quite a lot.
Wow.
On my first 9.
Wow, that wasn't too good. How that was on there.
Climbing for
Wow.
10-15 minutes. And
Well, that's the Onyx battery.
the batteries
I almost
are now
forgot
like
where that battery came from. That's terrible. They had a terrible connection on there. But okay.
Tiny little gear up front.
We gonna fix it.
Pretty slow task. And I have to get up and push.
I'm gonna put that on there.
So, there's the hill known as the bitch, and pretty much almost got to the top, but you have to get up and push near the summit. And like I mentioned, you know, I'm reasonably fit, so people who are new to mountain biking, possibly the kind of people who will be buying a bike such as this and converting it, probably might not be able to do such a climb. And obviously there are harder climbs out there, as we will find out. But Ray, yes, I think my first impressions and conclusion as to the suitability of this bike in the woods and in the hills is very, very positive indeed. Wheel size, good sizing, hydraulic brakes, yeah, so I think over to you, Ray. Well, Ray, I have to say, I am mightily impressed with this bike, and I think it is certainly up to the task in hand.
Alright, so like I said, that's our charge side.
Absolutely.
For the BMS. And these are going to his charge connector right there.
The second thing is
So
rather than
I'm gonna connect those up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the third thing?
The third thing is it's cheap to do.
Well, what are you looking at? £7,000?
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking at $650.
Wow!
Maybe if I buy a better battery, $750.
Ray, I'm looking forward to seeing you do this.
I can't wait to get going. What's in the box? Here we are. We got the motor first of all. This is a Tongshen, £250, takes 3 days to arrive. Very small but neat.
Oh, I like that.
Display.
I like that.
Doesn't take up much room. Very good. Tells you everything you want to know. If you want to get a bigger one later to know more, no problem. 2 cranks. Don't know why we got cranks, but we got them. 1 shim set. 1 spanner. A lot of people like that. Instructions. I never read the instructions. Set of cables.
Sound like me.
It'll even drive a front and back light. Unbelievable. Everything you need. All in all, a very simple, easy to fit kit.
Well, so you think?
No. I know about these things, and this is as simple as it gets.
Missing one thing, Ray. What about the battery?
Ah, it's around here somewhere.
We're gonna use these
Here it is. This is just
soldered
a small one, but it'll
heat
get us
shrink
going. And if we want a bigger
connectors
one,
that's got the solder in them already. Why is it
I've
holding
taken the
these?
bottom bracket out, and I'm going to replace it with the motor. Now, when you put the motor in, you'll see that that's concentric, and it's quite an easy job. You slide it in. When it comes in, it's captured by this ring nut. Now, the good thing about this ring nut is that it's fairly easy to put on. There it goes. But if you want to adjust it later on, let's say you've got a crank on there.
I gotta get
take the pedal off, and you can run
used to
this
being
lovely
live on
spanner
camera,
down,
Mr. Mike.
and you can tighten it up in situ, so you don't have to take it apart.
Even though I've been on camera all 400 videos, I'll never be live. It's a little different.
To make sure that they go in
Just a little bit.
And there it is. The next thing you have to do is to make a measurement on the other side to make sure.
All right, let me
that
turn
you've
this
got enough thread.
thing down. But yeah, it's a little different.
That's just as it should be. But next we have to look over the other side to see that the
especially when I ain't got nothing to talk about.
It's not pushing against the down tube or the chainstay. We're checking the down tube, that's clear. But when we look round at the back, we find on the chainstay it's not clear. The inner part of the motor is touching this. So we've got to put a shim in there to draw this slightly out. The shim is about 2.5 millimeters, and I want 2 mils clearance. So I'm going to be half a millimeter clearance.
Waiting on my, I guess I can talk about waiting on my parts. I'd be glad when they get here, even though I try to put a rush on them.
There we are.
But it seemed like it's getting cold. I've seen the guys was already complaining about it was too damn cold to ride, so I don't know. It ain't never too cold to ride for me. I strap up. I don't care nothing about the cold.
Now be squared off by the 2 flanges on the bottom bracket, and it won't be pushed out of line by the chainstay.
You're gonna use some bright yellow heat shrink.
Through there, right? Very important, because otherwise the motor will run at an angle and it won't be true. It's got to be absolutely square. And there you have it. Next, we're going to fit the anti-rotation bracket, and this goes underneath the motor and it secures to the frame, so the motor will not rotate in the opposite direction when it's got power on. Place the securing bolt ready. There she goes, and you can see there's a flange on there to hold it square. Now this is going to go up underneath, and it's going to...
Yeah, I think there's some kind of way I'm going to have to figure out how I can do this through a Zoom call, so everybody can be talking, you know. The only thing is, I don't think I'll ever have that many people on here where as though it'd be more than the limit for a Zoom call. I don't know what the limit is, but I've been on a Zoom call with about 15. Has it been that many? At least 10 people I know.
And down we go. So we're in position.
So yeah, if I can do a Zoom call with a good webcam.
Washers in the kit when it comes, and it's absolutely necessary to put them on.
That's all I need.
Vibration, and it will shake so that it just goes open.
So a spring washer, or the alternative is a lock nut?
You can use a lock nut, or you can use a flange nut like that. That's a flange nut.
Yeah, I know I should have a torch,
with a nylon
but
back to it. You can
I
use
don't.
anything like that if you can get
A
it
little
in.
too much
The
heat.
reason you need these is so that the bolts don't come loose. You will need one of these, there's no doubt about it, and they make a lovely noise. The cable comes out from the display right here. I've made up a little rubber tube. This slips up in the hole like that, and I'll push it up a bit further in a minute, and this goes straight to the motor. The motor connection is right there. The reason I put this rubber cover on here, slipped it on from this end over the plug, is that this is an electrical cable and there might be sharp edges inside, and I don't want that to be destroyed or upset. Putting a speed sensor on the non-drive side, here we go.
Alright.
Done. It's battery time. We have 2 options. Either a small battery goes in a water bottle holder, or we have something slightly larger. This is a halon type battery, and it goes in a sliding holder. Whichever battery you go for, you've got to have some sort of connector, and the X60s are pretty good because you can snap them off and change the battery if you want to. When you get the battery, it comes with this lead on it. And so,
boy.
Unless you've got these connectors already for it.
Let me see.
And there she is. It's all yours, Steve.
maybe, I'm sure everybody has seen these, but if you haven't, these are the heat shrink that's got the solder inside in a little round disc, and all you have to do is put a torch on it, preferably a little torch. I don't have, my little torch doesn't have any fluid, so I'm using a regular lighter, but yeah, and it, you know, it makes it real convenient, especially for some of you guys if you can't solder. Even better.
On a bike of this type, there's 4 power settings on the bike. I'm now,
but I mean, I don't recommend it for
23 kilometers now, as you can see
big
on the
work.
display.
But you know, this is the charge side, so
This would be quite a test.
it's good enough for the charge side.
Little Tom Chen motor, 250 quid, 350 pound frame or 350 pound bike off eBay, 29-inch wheels, hardtail, bit of a nose drip there. So the first hill, and guys, I
normally put some
up this hill for 20 years, and this bike is
flux
actually making really light work of it.
paste on it, but
We're now returning to the track which I rode this bike in without the motor and battery. I'm going to see how it handles in comparison. Conditions are a little bit wetter than they were, but nevertheless I should get an idea on how it performs. First fault I found. There you go. Now what we've got here is the chain has derailed.
I try to wait until I see the solder melting. When I see the solder melting in there, I know it's
I'm guessing
pretty good. I keep the heat on it just a little bit longer.
Let me just get that round there. Oh, this is quite
Did
easy.
my heat shrink?
There's
God
not a
damn it.
problem. There's no multiple
Oh, why y'all ain't tell me y'all saw my heat shrink fall off?
I think we need to tackle some
I know somebody saw it fall off.
clutch mac on the back there to keep that chain on the front there, or maybe even like a guide up on the top there to keep the chain on.
It's still hot,
Okay, guys,
so I
we
can
have
pull it
now
apart.
transitioned onto some forest track and
I know one of y'all
returned
saw that.
the place
Could have
where I
saved me
for that motor,
from having to do this
known
over.
as the bitch. I'm in full power mode on the very dinky display, and I've got to say, this is like 100 times better. I mean, if I wanted to, I could still gas it and have a good workout, but
I know Lou saw it. Oh, Eagle Eyes, if he's still on here.
are a massive hurdle to the sport. And this bike actually
He don't miss nothing.
to get up them. Like I said, I'm probably the gassing a little bit hard, so just need to back off a little bit. But previously it was such a grind up here. Whoa. Any negatives? Well,
Oh, Lou don't miss
this
a
motor
beat.
won't be as powerful as say a Bosch
I'ma do it
or a
this
Shimano
time.
or
Put
a
some
Brose motor, but it's not actually far off.
flux
I mean, I
paste
think
on this
one of the things that
hot
I've
wire.
changed so far is the fact that it's actually got quite high gearing on the back here. I mean, I probably go up to, you know, a 42 or a 44 on the back, or maybe even change the chain in the front. I put a seat dropper on it.
Oh yeah, you forgot, huh?
But it hasn't held me back, like I said earlier. I think if you're
Well, you should have called me.
you know, sub £1,000, that is it's a dream. It's a dream bike. I just so wish I'd have been able to have.
That's alright. I'm gonna forget to send that UKC one too. How about that?
It's a bike which is far superior to bikes of that era, I can assure you that. But like I said, there's a few things I'd like to change on it now, including the gearing and possibly the seat. So maybe via a few pieces of single track back to Ray's house to have a catch up with the man himself. What a legend. Ray, I really
Get
like
my
this
technique
bike.
better
Now,
with
as
these
a
things. I
bike
think it's
for
better to
best
heat the
bike,
ends up
this
first
is the
perfect answer.
let them shrink on the wire so it's holding them together. Let that cool down so it's holding the two pieces together, and then heat the solder part up. Oh man, look like I'm ready to run out of fluid on this thing.
I think it's a perfect solution for me. But
Oh, damn it. Wait a minute, I gotta know.
On the bike. So the first thing is that the chain rate, the chain comes off the chain of the bike. Some think the gearing on the back is
thought I had another one.
built for purpose. It's a little bit too high geared, so if you can use this bike as a commuter bike, I think it's great on the road. But I think you need lower gears on the back. And the final thing is, I'm not into the battery area. I think it's a little bit ugly. I think something a bit neater would be the answer.
A small bottle battery.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Can we do that?
You certainly can. You can go for 5 or 9, which is really good, and that'll give you 280 watts, 340 watts, somewhere around there, and that would be fine.
What about the derailleur, the gearing? I'm not into it. I think we can be improved on that.
Do you know, I was in Epping Forest, and I saw some guys, and they had at the back in the hub, and they were really good. And the great thing about them was they were coming in first. Out of 10 guys, they came in first. The guys that came the last 3, they just had the derailleurs, and they've been cleaning muck off there.
Let's see what's going on here. Okay.
An integrated gear hub.
Wow. So
Well, I mean,
make the bike.
to Darcy to say a heat gun. I mean, a heat gun, I can melt the heat shrink, but
The dogs, you know.
I don't know if that heat gun actually, well, not the one I have. I don't think it'll melt that solder. Now, supposedly, you supposed to be able to use a heat gun on those, but
It's a thoroughbred. It really
not
does.
that Harbor Freight joint I got.
But just with that extra gear,
And I got the cheap one because I'm cheap Charlie.
I think I would be really going.
So maybe if I would have got the halfway decent one, I may could have used it.
See the next installment of where
But
this
mine is just a little bit hotter than a blow dryer. Just a little bit.
Welcome to this week's EMBN show. We have got a packed show coming up for you guys this week. But first of all, let's head over to Italy, catch up with that man, Steve Jones.
All right.
Steve.
Yeah, great, thanks, Chris. It's been busy months on the road for sure. I mean, it started off with which seems like almost
The few peeps I got here, y'all must be bored as ish. But I appreciate y'all. But yeah.
I think they call it Motor Valley, which is Modena. Some very cool sort of details on it, like the Zax motor, the roll-off hub, and the geometry.
What is this other? Do I got somebody in the chat soliciting some buttocks or something? Who is this splitter person back here, man? What the hell is they talking about?
Yesterday we went to see.
Can I bounce people up out of here? Oh man, yeah, splitter gotta go.
Yeah, I think,
Dang, why y'all ain't tell me about this winch?
Products is very bright. I mean, today we're literally about 200 meters
Dang.
from the Chinese factory, so we're gonna pop in there to have a look at a bit of two-wheel history. But yeah, it's been a crazy 2 months. From obviously there's the IAA show we went to. We saw the new Scott bike there, and
All right,
it was quite funny because
I think I got splitter gone.
jeans and t-shirt, and of course you go into the motor hall.
Somebody must be splitting them in his hind parts.
Quite different. But yeah, it's been
Him, her, I don't know what that was.
The one thing I want to mention is the EWS e-race that you did. Literally mind blowing 6 space there. We're training from drinking wine and beer. Fill me in. Come on.
Anyway, while that's chilling for a minute, I'm gonna give y'all a different view of what's going on over here.
a race like that.
Show y'all what they talking about, whatever they talking about. I ain't been listening. Maybe somebody been listening.
Yeah, 12 stages, 8 kilometers.
I forgot what his name is.
you know, I've done long
But he-
days such as the Tour Mont Blanc.
That's
where,
them
you know,
e-bike dudes.
6,000 meters and 120 k's. But the fact that you're actually racing.
I know I'm
against
messing with
clocks.
y'all ears right now. I'm trying to tighten
Bear in
up
mind
this.
that probably 8 of those stages had uphill sections that started the stage, followed by like a 6-minute descent. So, you know, you're in the red.
Man, dude be
I
riding
think
some
I looked like
expensive
from the
mountain
stats
bikes,
I was,
boy.
an hour in maximum heart rate.
He kinda
and,
old, too.
2 hours of threshold.
If he ain't old, he look
which
old.
is, you know, it's a really big gap.
So is it as you were expecting?
You don't see that? Everything was all neat, but you see how discombobulated it is? Just that quick? It could be worse, to be honest.
I got to the last stage and Jack was like, why are you lying on your back with your feet in the air? I said, because I can't. He said, well, you know, you literally got 5 minutes to get to the finish because that's when your time ends. I said, well, I can't get to the finish, you can't actually walk in a minute. But it's big day, like, so the day, obviously, if anyone that knows finale area,
I had this big old assortment of screws and nuts in my hand.
the morning of the race, I walked
Why I sat it back down and didn't get it, I don't know.
exactly, yeah.
Because I had found the
Limestone rocks.
ones that I needed at the time.
Not ideal, really.
But yeah.
Say, looking for the results, you're actually second on one of the stages. So what do you think it takes for a person to win those races, as in, you know, as an athlete, an all-rounder, you know?
Alright, world.
that
This
didn't
is
come out of
Chriscrossingwires. This is a re-upload of an old
I
live
need a new
stream.
bag, by the way.
I'm
Somebody
gonna
wanna
be
donate
uploading a lot of my
one.
old
That
live
one
streams
busting all apart.
because they're not getting viewed because they're in the live stream section and they don't come up with the regular video feed. Alright, take it easy, take care, peace, we out. You can check out the rest of this build on my live section. Deuces.
Just be lightweight, although being lightweight